Sorry for that abrupt end to the music. Here we go. Cool. Alrighty. So today I'm actually going to start recording myself as well. Trying to do more of this. So today I'm actually going to be doing a series of two things. Actually, I want to showcase this sort of like journey in terms of like trying to brand myself digitally, and I'm going to be doing something fun for myself, which is working on mini disc players that I buy off of eBay that are broken and trying to repair them. I'll go ahead and do the first thing. So I'm just going to remove this Evangelion timer, which I adore this project so much. But I'll have to continue working on my version of changing this from Python script to JavaScript later on. So here we go. Yep, that's how it's working. So actually, I was trying to go on this journey for the past week or so, and I had a whole bunch of sketches I had done. And this is like the first iteration. I was very interested in leaning in on this like name I've been kind of carrying as like a nickname for a while, and kind of leaning in into the actual shape of the hexagon and trying to have it coincide, with like with a nickname that I got to like lean into the hexagon as well. And so, and this program is a free program that I'm using on my Ubuntu desktop called Inkscape, which has been an incredible asset because it's basically Illustrator but free. And I remember using Illustrator a long time ago, so jumping into this was actually not too much of a problem. And I feel like a lot of things came back rather quickly. So, I mean, like how it works, just like everything is vector based. You can zoom in and out pretty much infinitely, and it will scale with you. You can export as PNGs, as SVGs, etc. So these are the kind of I'm these are just on their own, just vector shapes on top of one another. And I was trying to lean into this idea of the name on top of a shape, or like the shape to be a portal of some sort that things come out of, like sprouting ideas out of a hexagonal shape. So like the ideas come out of the hex, so of me, like that. But I found that when you zoom out too far from this, it's kind of hard to read, not really identifiable. And Paul Rand is one of these logo designers and brand designers from the last century that I really admire his work so much, from IBM to the Next computers. In fact, I'm wearing a like Next hoodie. This is a logo that he designed himself for the Steve Jobs Enterprise after he got outed from Mac, from Apple in the 1990s, and then he decided to make Next workstations. And I love the logo design from Paul Rand for that. And you'll see in a bit how that helped influence everything else I was doing. So, anyways, this is iteration number one. I did this first. And then, I decided, hey, maybe I need to lean into this idea. Oh my goodness. Ubuntu, please. Um, these are so many other ideas. I'll try and go in order, I guess. So so this is like number two. I went ahead, and this is actually literally the keyboard I'm using at the moment. I know like camera is like really small, but it's a split keyboard. It's a Lily 58 that I soldered myself, and it effectively looks like this, where these are where the microcontrollers are. This is the TRRS jack cable that put together that splits the signal, so only one side needs to be connected, and both run through and tell the computer what the commands are. And again, this is the idea of like the hex in which this thing kind of jumps out of. It's kind of the idea of like this is a idea station. Like the hex, the branding I wanted to do was more like this is the idea generation. Who knows what can come out of this shape idea, kind of, and I'm the basis. This platform is in which these things come alive effectively. So I'm like, maybe the keyboard is more indicative of like this sort of like as a first iteration as to what the idea. Well, because I constructed this keyboard. I mean, I didn't design it, but I did uh, craft it together. So this would be like one of the first things. And I use this keyboard every day, and I thought, why not? Why not have this be more of the sort of the first logo design? And I thought I went with this for a bit, but it didn't really work out that well because the lettering here on their HEX, and you can see I'm using like sort of segment display technology, like LCD displays, as to how like you can easily see how this could turn out to be an 8 if you draw two more lines down here, like these two. And then the X is kind of weird because, this sort of segment display doesn't work with an X, so you would have to, so this font I was using didn't have what I was looking for intentionally, actually. And yeah, this grayscale part wasn't something I was really too keen in. It didn't seem that interesting to me. Like the only color is from the LCD display here from the keyboard. It lets me know what layer I'm in. And so I decided I need to iterate more. I like the idea of the hex here being kind of a platform for ideas, and so I wanted to try and continue going in that direction. So I'm gonna close this. So yeah, then I was trying to be playful, be like, hey, what if it's multicolor, keep the lettering, because and maybe keep it so it's like a platform, but it wasn't working out. From from this distance, it's like you can't really tell what's going on. It's really hard to make it iconic, shall we say. So this is number three. Number four, oh yeah, we already saw this. It's like number four. I think there are more borders here. Trying to do that. So here's number five. So the idea was to then tilt the hexagon so it's actually more of a portal. Put it more like on the ice like was it that perspective, isomorphic perspective, kind of keeping it like kind of leaning away from the isomorphic perspective, actually making more perspective based, having a little bit more color here, making the letters show more. And then again, these are the segment displays that everyone's familiar with, but how do you make an H? How do you make an X with this? It's like this is the only thing to tell the difference between an H and an X. It's like that, and it looks more like heh, like you're kind of like hey hey hey, like laughing. Um, so it didn't really work out that well for me. And again, I'm trying to make the keyboard be like, hey, this is the thing that's come out of this sort of like portal situation. Like the ideas are jumping out. I'm the platform from that. And then yeah, so that's one conceit there. Um, and again, okay, so I now jumped to this segment display in order to make the X actually much more different. This is I think, how many is this, 15 or something? It's like an odd number of segment displays, carry it over to the side. So, at any moment, the sort of banner would be able to, I don't know, like in the future, I could make like different projects and have the letters become whatever I want in like the future, like rebrand these things as something else. And again, this is like getting close to like this sort of portal, hex as portal of idea design. And like you can see, I've been really in love with like this SVG I did of the keyboards, and I really like the sort of playful jumping out from the portal, like this thing just came out sort of idea, or they're about to go in, however you want to see it. Um, this heavenly light sort of situation. I was trying to make it be much more about the ideas that get produced from here. But this is iteration number 6 already. Again, this is suffering from this problem. Like when you look at it from far away, it's very hard to tell like what does this say, Because what ends up happening is that this branding logo thing is going to go everywhere. Um, and unfortunately, YouTube and Twitch and other places, they have this thing where you have a circular logo um, of the channel you're watching, what have you. So it needs to fit in a circle that's actually rather small. And I think this is a square, and it would fit in that circle, but we kind of cut off here in the top right, left, bottom left, right. And yeah, it was just like I was struggling quite a bit to make it so it stands out when it's far away, because that's the thing with logos and branding in general. It's like it needs to be very quick at capturing your attention. It needs to be very fast and recognizable from a distance, or from if you're scrolling through and you want to know what someone's up to. It's like it needs to be eye-catching and like really at least telegraph quickly what this is all about. So that's why I had to drop this one. Although this one was for a moment on my YouTube and Twitch as the profile image, but then I decided to go against it because again, it's a little too busy. It's very complicated. It's very hard to tell what those things are from a distance. And then even if you zoom in and you're like this, you're like, it's hard understanding what's going on. So that was number 6. Number 7 became, like let's focus in on just the platform. Like get away from the idea of that the hex shoots out ideas from it. Instead, just make it so like the logo itself was who I am abstractly being represented, like the ideas come from here, that this is like a portal in which anything can come out of. I won't show you what it is. And again, it's like still staying with the segment displays here, and trying to make this more the logo. And this was, again, I replaced the other one with this one. The circle effect worked, but again, the lettering is actually really hard to read from a distance. Like, I mean, I picked these segment displays to do it because I love the sort of retro look of them. Like I felt like it was very indicative of like the things I'm interested in. I'm very interested in retro technologies. I'm very interested in design that is like really self-evident throughout the built world, and kind of making an homage or sort of something to that, um, to this kind of standard, and making my name be a part of it, I thought would be neat. And also the other idea would be like I could, at any point like recolor these so it says something else. It could be hex XX or whatever I want across here. But again, again, there's like this issue of like when you look far away, it's actually not that interesting to look at. It's very hard to read, and it doesn't stand out as much. Like it kind of is like a shape in a void that doesn't really telegraph A, the hexagonal shape, and B, this idea of it being a platform in which things stem from, which is the thing I was really trying hard to evoke. And it's really, it's a difficult thing. It's like, how do you evoke a platform in which innovation comes from in a logo, And of course, this is the thing that really intelligent, hardworking people, they're able to figure that branding out. And I have no experience in brand design or anything, but I'm just trying to go by like my art background, trying to make this, trying to use my critiquing lens to see if this evokes the sort of objective I'm trying to achieve. And I don't think it did. And so we're in design number 7. This is 7 out of however many that we're going through. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. And so we're letting it. So this is design number 8. Again, this is I'm focusing on like the hexagonal shape. No more of that isomorphic perspective anymore. It's more like let's keep it flat, keep it straightforward towards people, make it and again keeping this sort of segment display here, playing around with the coloring a little bit. You have obviously the RGB here, because what I want really my branding to be is very tech focused, but be friendly and be very trying to be educational and informative, and but like on the tech heavier side of things. And I was hoping that the coloring would do that. I was hoping that the shape would be noticeable. But as you can tell, like again, when you're far away, that blue on the X just like completely fades away. And the segment display here, you can tell that the X here, it's not the same height as like the top here. It's like smaller and blue, which makes it disappear into the background. So it becomes really hard. Like the HE at this distance, like comes up, but the X doesn't. So you lose. So you just see he and then maybe something. And again, this trick about keeping it at a distance is the reason. It's like it really tells you, can you understand what's going on quickly? Because when you're zoomed in like this, you can see all the detail. You can see the gradients. There's a sort of cross gradient thing I was trying to go for, where like the border here is light, and then the border here is dark, but then the side within the hex is light, and the side with the hex here is dark. So it's like this competing lightness sort of thing. I think I was really scratching away to try and make it fit I think the important thing from this design, we're in design number 8, is that don't focus on the hex, because when we're looking at the isomorphic, like really at you, we were looking at the hex not pointing towards you. Like this one's like kind of pointing towards you. It was looking at the side, the more classic hexagonal. When you think of a hexagonal shape, you draw it so you're not drawing it like with the point towards you. You kind of often draw it with the side towards you. This is the first iteration in which the point is going towards the viewer. It's like up and down pointing. So, and that was brought up by my partner because they mentioned that when you do it like this, when you have the point towards you, you can actually make the letters much bigger, because if you do it the other way, the letters couldn't go edge to edge like this one can. So I think this was like a great move into this sort of general direction of like turn the hexagon so many degrees to make it so this is like more straightforward, like this. But yeah, then but you can tell I feel like I'm reaching my limit with this segment display. As much as I love it, as much as I love how it's harkening to the built world and about retro technologies and about standardizations, it's like not like when you look at it from a distance, it's like it kind of doesn't mean anything anymore. It it kind of dissolves. It doesn't really have enough there to telegraph any sort of messaging. Like you lose the retroness, you lose understanding what's going on. So that was design number 8. So number 9 is this one. Again, I'm trying to play with the colors. I'm trying to be, again, tech-centric with the segment displays, but I'm trying to make the colors be, well, first to make the X stand out, because I think with the orange here, it stands out more, right? That RGB thing was just not cutting it. Like we understand the RGB is like a really cute, like harkening us to like how screens draw, how our screens just draw. They use like these a mixture of these 3 colors. Like we get it. But I needed to lean more toward like first this eliminates the hex at all completely. It's just like let's talk about the segment displays because we need to make it as like kind of iconic as possible. Maybe the hexagon shape is like impeding telegraphing like who you are watching, like what is the design, what's the brand of the person. I really want people to come away with a name rather than the shape. The shape is like secondarily important because the it's really the name. It's like my channel is not called Hexagon. It's called, it's like Hexor or Hex, something like that. So, um, and you see, it passes kind of this sort of test where, like, if you put it from a distance, you can actually see, you can read this actually, like from a distance. When it's much smaller, when it's an icon on YouTube, when it's an icon on Twitch with a circle around it, you can actually read this, and it comes out. And like, it's not RGB, really strong colors, but it's like I feel like to me these are like funner colors, like making it. This is about friendliness. I'm trying to evoke like the tech is in the segment displays. The colors themselves are like the friendly approachability I hope to instill in the my own branding online of being approachable, of being, just trying to be like friendly design like that. Um, and I added this, and it's like, yeah, it gets it across, but there's still like something about it seems really boring. It seems really um so matter of fact. I don't know. It doesn't have it's like not innovative in a way. And it's not that eye-catching. It's like, you see it from a distance, you're like, "Oh, I get it." And then you just like walk across. It's really hard to like take this with you in any way that makes it like interesting. I didn't feel it was interesting enough. So this is design number 9 that I went through. This is so this is one. This is where we started, and that's where we went. And so we are at, I think we're here. We're at here. So it was a lot of like sketching that I did. I know my camera is very, very small, but like, trying to think of hexagons here, think of that. And then my partner actually drew like kind of a cube like this, like on some paper like that. So this cube that you're seeing is a hexagon, actually. So like if you were to see it, it's drawn as a hexagon with the point towards you, and but it's three sides, so HEX, perfect. And yeah, I mean this one is like getting closer to the idea that I'm going for, which is like, okay, so I'm losing tech. I'm losing the sense of like this is like a tech related thing. But what I'm gaining at is like it's going back towards the sort of like this is, talking about the shape of the hexagon, talking about you're losing the discussion about portals and ideas, but this is a lot more friendly to me with the coloring, with like it seems like it's the childhood toy that you give to children, right? The cubes with the letters like the A, B, C, D, you talk about those things. But it's done in like kind of like a business oriented way of I don't know, like you could easily be like IBM, like make that into a cube, and like what is that discussion? And more importantly to me, I think I was just staring at the next logo. So here, let me see if I can bring up this logo, like next logo. Like I love this logo so much, right? This next logo by Paul Rand, it's like so iconic to me. I'm like, again, I'm literally wearing it, right? I have a hoodie that has this logo on it. Um, and I think, in going through all the iterations of the design, I kind of wanted to like harken back to that design in some way, but make it all my own. And I thought making it, like the three sides, but making it more hexagonal. Like this next logo is clearly an inspiration to me, with the fun colors on the next logo, with like you have the three sides, because the next logo here, it's supposed to be indicative of like the black box of the next workstation. Well, I don't have a hexagonal workstation, but I really want to lean into like the usage of the shape. And I love the usage of like the fun colors, the uppercasing, lowercasing. I think Paul Rand did a great job making people interested in whatever the hell next was in this box. So I did my own inspired version of it, and I'm hoping that this will work for the time being. I think for now I'll keep it, use it on all my socials and do that type of stuff. I know I will get critique about like this looks like a toy, like a children's toy or something. This doesn't look techie related. This looks like a game or something, or more of something for entertainment, as opposed to like techie educational. But I found that anytime I leaned towards, in my mind's eye, like tech related stuff, and made the logo further like ambiguous, like really hard to understand what I'm looking at. I think often of, again, Paul Rand did logos for IBM, and I really love all the IBM logos in which Paul Rand was being more entertaining than what was actually happening. So this is an IBM logo. I remember this being as part of one of my screensavers. It's like you have the I, you have the B, and you have the M floating around. And this doesn't, the logo that Paul Rand on the right did, this doesn't tell you about international business machines. This doesn't tell you about computers. This doesn't tell you about really anything. It's just like a fun play on words. Um, it has this sort of childlike playfulness to it. And in the screensaver, the eye blinked and the bee has like the wings that are buzzing and flying around. So I kind of wanted to go in this direction. Again, Paul Rand did the next logo, but I wanted to do like a funner IBM logo. And I thought, why not just make it fun so people remember, even though it doesn't give you necessarily all the information you need to understand what is the thing. Just make it like, the hope is that the people will see the logo, attribute it to me, and then you're like, oh, that is Hex. He is the one that does the computer things, and just kind of try and leave it be like that. And this is I think iteration number 10. I've done 10 iterations within the past, I don't know, like 7 days of just like running through like every couple hours. No, excuse me, every couple day or two, just having like a couple sessions of just like maybe I churn out one logo only, maybe two or three in the next session and keep going. But I think I landed on that. So again, we started here. This is where we started, and this is where we ended up. Where I like it when you zoom out, you can still read the letters. Oh, and even more so, it's like the colors kind of stand out quite a bit. Like they're kind of unusual colors, but I like the playfulness of it, even zoomed out. So that is like me rambling about for like 30 minutes talking about the logo design I was trying to go for. Yeah. So that is what I ended up doing this week is trying to make that a thing happen for the brand design. And again, I love the fact that this is a cube, but it's also actually literally a hexagon as well. So it kind of fulfills the sort of desire of bringing that shape back. I don't know. It feels like the right choice to use it like this. Yeah, and you can tell there's like different shading. I think this is supposed to be, what is this? I think this is like a version with guidelines, and I didn't export it like that, so there's that at least. But yeah, um, that is that. Okay, so before I waste too much time, so that's the branding discussion. So behind me, I have a little workbench that I do all my. I'm gonna preface this incredibly amateur repair. Like I try, I think out of 10 things to try and repair, I repair maybe two. So 20% success rate in repairing tech things that I have. We talk about like trying to repair VCRs, trying to repair like my phone, and primarily trying to repair mini discs. So uh, on the bench today, I go on eBay and I buy some of these mini discs that are labeled as like parts only, like broken, like definitely does not work. And we're gonna try and repair this one. Now in my hand, I have a mini disc player from circa 2000 something or another. This is the MiniDisc MZN510. This MiniDisc player right here is the one that I used to own one like this before it was given away that I would listen to all the time. Um, Now I think I already opened this from the eBay bag, and I think I know precisely what's wrong with it. So we're gonna go look at the microscope here. So we're gonna go away from the branding for a bit, for a moment. Let's see if this works. Yeah, so we're at the microscope. So this is how it came to me directly. So here is, right, so the MZ5N510 type S, um, Sony mini disc, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so I'm going to try and look at repairing this, and I wonder if I can do it quickly. And I wonder if I can do that. But that would be a huge, I don't know, it's going to be like pretty intense if I can actually do it. But or pretty cool. Okay, so you can tell right off the bat it's kind of pretty grimy here. Let's see. Yeah, it's pretty grimy. Um, on the sides here, like I can probably polish this off with some hot water and soap, just like get in there, right? Needs to be cleaned out. So it came to me with this battery. This battery is fully charged, 1.5 volts. So I'm gonna take this battery out. I can confirm because I already measured this that it's 1.5 volts. It's like fully charged. Oh, right, right. The other thing, right? I'm gonna put this battery back in. Put it back in. Let's see, can I do it without breaking it? All right. And so you're looking at the screen here, and I'm pressing the play button. I'm pressing the button here, and you can tell just nothing is going on the screen. I can touch it, feel that nothing mechanical is going on. Nothing's going on. So you remove the battery, and then of course the first thing you check, I think, if you buy a broken piece of electronics, and it's not working like right off the bat, is to check the terminals. Obviously, here you go. This is definitely what the problem is, that the terminals here look completely corroded because it looks like a battery was left in here and it just like the acidity from the battery leaked out, the solution leaked out, got on the terminals here and it just completely fried it. Like started dissolving on the contacts, making them not work. And so what I'm going to do, oh yeah, sorry, it was actually, I just realized that the hold was on also. So let's see if this works. So the hold was on, press play, nothing. The hold is like this button here. This is hold. It was actually, it was on, so I turned it off. And that's meant to, if I remember correctly, that's meant to, you turn that, you flip that switch so if you accidentally press these buttons, nothing will happen. So I'm pressing it, nothing's happening. Okay, so now we've confirmed that the battery terminal is probably the issue here. If the battery terminal is corroded like that, then it's just not going to operate. So I'm going to do is I'm going to take apart the screws. So here there's a number of screws all around the mini disc player. Um, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and let's see. I'm going to play some more music for my friend as I'm talking, so it's not completely boring for everybody. So there is a mini disc wiki in which you can find more information on the device you're looking at, including schematics. So I will put that up on the screen in just a moment. Let's see, put it up here. Let me close out Inkscape. Sorry, I'm trying to bring up everything at the moment. All right, so here you go. So minidisc.wiki. This is literally the mini disc we're looking at the moment, the MZN510. And what we want is we want the service manual that's on the, it's on the site right here. User manual, service manual. Service manual will be the one that tells you how to actually take apart the mini disc player properly. So see right here, it tells you like how many screws there are, in which kind of order you should take them out. So it looks like the top two first, bottom two second, and then you can just remove the case in the direction of the arrow. So you gotta like open it up like a clamshell. So we'll go ahead and do that. Alrighty, let's see. And I have a magnetic mat here that will help me keep track of everything. So I'll do it in the order that it should. Like be able to pull it back in the same order. Now I've never done this live, so we'll see. So any surprises that come through, it'll be recorded and for all time. So I'm taking the bottom two screws out here. All right, time for the top two screws right here. Oh, it's like dirty. It's like grimy. Well, I'll have to clean those as well. This whole mini disc, even if it runs, it will have to be absolutely cleaned. It seems so dirty. Like probably part of the issue as to why it's dirty. The terminal's completely corroded, so it's probably just completely neglected. Okay. All right, so I know this trick because I've been working on other mini discs players as well. is that the side that has this sort of jack here. So one side has this jack. It's on the gosh, this is like too close. But one side of the MiniDisc player has this sort of jack, and that when you open it, you gotta like open it in from that direction. You gotta open it away from that jack. So let me see if I can open it. Unfortunately, I don't have like a sophisticated clamp to like move around to show what I'm doing at the moment. I honestly wish I had not taken away the other USB camera, but it is what it is. Okay, so I'm like removing it here. Let's see the big reveal here. I'm removing it from its container. Right. Removing it. Alrighty, so this is the condition of the back panel. So this is the part where the battery would be in. Right, you have a whole bunch of crust. Honestly, I don't even know what this is. Just like lint, sand, crumbling of something or another. Like what is that? I don't know. This all needs to be cleaned out. I'll have to put it through a cleaner of some sort. All right, so here we are. So this is the positive terminal, completely corroded like this. And when you need to check when you do this type of stuff, when you're doing sort of repairs, is to look in the areas around it, because you want to be very... This is playing a little too loud. Let's see if I can refresh this. You want to be careful to make sure that the... Gosh, do I not get an option to look at the... This is so funny. What is going on here? Like, can I not? Okay. I was like so curious. It's like why I couldn't see the play. Anyways, so you need to be very careful on this section because you want to make sure that the corrosion that's happening on here isn't happening everywhere else. Like that has it leaked somewhere else and damaged components. You gotta be very careful about that and like make sure to test the components around. Now for me, a good test to see if this is broken, like severely broken, is to basically check if this plus, if this is where the terminal runs along and hits this thing, and now you're touching the main board, is I think you can go ahead and put voltage in there. You know, this is the ground. This is plus. If you inject 1.5 volts, the question is, will the device just start turning on? And if it does just start turning on, that's great news because that means that really it's just this terminal that's wrong, that has a problem, it has this corrosion, and that if you clean that corrosion off, you should be good to go. So I think I'll just go ahead and see if that's the case. I'm gonna try and put like alligator clips, turn on my bench power supply, and just see if I can get a reading at all, if it wants to turn on or not. So right here, I have a bench power supply. I'm gonna put these clamps here. Well, actually, not a clamp. I'm gonna actually substitute what I usually use. So no more of this. All right. Cool. There we go. All right. So instead what I'm going to do, I'm going to clamp to ground. this thing here. There, that's ground. And instead of clamping to the positive, I'm gonna have this, probe to the power and see if it turns on at all. So what we're looking for is we want to put 1.5 volts. Yeah, so there we go. 1.5 volts is what my bench power supply has. I'm going to go ahead and try and inject it for where I'm looking. And then if it works, I'll show the screen. All right, here we go. Have not done this yet. It works. It totally works. All right. Let me see if I can get it on the screen. All right, moving this over here. Again, you want to, this screen will let you know if it's alive or not. Touching it. It's totally working for a moment. There you go. 1.5 volts at 0.14 amps. No disc. Yeah. That was it, right? Everyone saw that? Hopefully. Ugh. This is exciting. All right. There it is. Full power. No disc. Okay. So the terminal is obviously the problem. That it's corroded and it can't get the battery in there. Now, the next thing is that I didn't feel this MiniDisc actually do anything. So that's an additional issue. Usually when you power on a MiniDisc, it will actually try, you can feel the mechanism actually moving, trying to move the, how do you call it, like the reader, the head, to actually search, to seek where in the disk it's actually looking or not. Now, there might be indicative of a thing in here that, because there is no MiniDisc at all, it can somehow register that. Maybe there's like a button or something that's inside that makes it so it doesn't even try, because it understands that there is no MiniDisc to try and read. So maybe that's the case, but maybe not. Who knows? Maybe there's something seriously wrong with the motor, in which case, because of how dirty it is, you have, again, look, we were looking at the back of the case. This is sort of like the condition the case came in. So since this is the condition the case came in, I would actually love to remove this entire board in order to be able to view what the head looks like as well, the actual reader, to then be able to see if it needs to be lubricated, cleaned. I guarantee probably it needs to be cleaned anyways, because the usual issue with electronics that have been neglected like this for a long time is that when they're neglected for a long time, the lubrication on the gears kind of just wears out. It turns, instead of it being a lubricant, it turns into like a gummy substance that it does the exact opposite. Instead of actually lubricating the joints and stuff that it's supposed to, instead it gums it up, because it's been so much time. Oxygen and other chemistry applications have come in that have basically transformed it. It no longer becomes a lubricant, it becomes something else entirely. So I'm pretty sure I've seen MiniDiscs like this before, that you have to desolder these 2 points here. You have to remove the LCD screen ribbon tape here, and then you have to remove the motherboard connector to the motor head here. So there's at least 3 places that we're gonna have to like remove and disassemble. So I'm gonna have to get my soldering iron out to remove this. Um, in order to, also because we want to clean this, but we don't want to expose the case itself to any of the chemicals that we're about to use to clean that. I'm gonna use white vinegar for sure to see if that will react um, against this so like this sort of acid that came out of the battery. See if that will remove that, and see it also if I can make a connection as well. Because if you, it seems so corroded that I can probably touch that blue with one probe and try and touch this terminal with the other, and it will not work. Instead, I'm going to try and see how far I can clean it, scrub it, really see how far I can try and expose it. And if it does end up, exposing it, grinding it a little bit, and with the chemistry cleaning it, expose it properly, that maybe I can then lubricate it actually in order to cover it and protect it from further rusting. But for the time being, we gotta, whoop, gosh, this setup is so bad. All right, here we go. So maybe for the time being, we're gonna go back to looking at the manual, service manual, because now we need to truly, truly disassemble it because we want to get rid of the top as well here. So in order to get rid of the top, oh gosh. Okay, so that torsion spring is really annoying because it's under pressure, under tension being held in. And what it's used for is used when you want to eject the mini disc. You have to like press a button or slide a switch in a direction that is counter to where the spring is pushing it. Because the whole point is that the spring keeps the lid locked in with tension. And then the moment you press it, it actually increases the tension, increases the spring's power, but then it lets you like move, like the hook disengages and you can open it up. So that's the thing you have to be really careful about because it's under tension the whole time. And if you're not careful, it will just like spring out and you'll lose it, and then what, you know? Okay, so you can tell from here that so if I were to show you, so this thing. So I'm looking at the battery, right? I'm looking at this is the negative, positive, and if you go way straight down from the positive to this thing here, that thing is actually the, how do I put this? Where this is. This ribbon cable right here, that flexible board that connects the front LCD to the rest of the board. That thing is what we're going to be removing now. It's like we disengage that first, right? That's why it's labeled number 1. Hey, deal with this deal with this flexible ribbon first before you try and do anything else. So, because if you were to go ahead and unscrew the front and then try and pop this out, you will break that ribbon cable and then you don't have an LCD screen anymore. Or at least it will be very, very difficult for you to have an LCD screen anymore. So uh, let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and pop this out. The way I just usually do that is just like with fingers, like that. And then I'll just go ahead and use these nice tweezers and just like kind of fish this out here, like that. It's a little gummy. Maybe that's like a sort of adhesive. I don't know that it should have in order to keep it there, but we're trying to repair this, so you know, forget the adhesive for now. All right, so we're looking. So that was step number 1. Number 2 is slide open in the direction of the arrow, open the upper panel section. So in order to do that, we do this. There's a button or something that I have to press, right? Yeah, it's you press this button here, you press down. Oh my God, look how dirty that is. This is not. Okay, so now it's sliding away, right? Because here you have the spring under tension that will lock it. We're gonna unlock it there. Alrighty, now this is open. It's in the open state here, right? That's where the mini disc would go in. It's in the open state. All right, what else are we looking at here? Number 3, do the screws. Okay, let's do the screws here. There are 2 as far as I can tell. There's 1 here. One. Oh God, look how gross that is. Do you see those colors too? The red is like supposed to indicate where the screw belongs. But luckily we have a magnetic mat that will maintain the screws for us and help us not forget where they go. Here we go. This is so gross. If only I had a cleaner, like a I forget what they're called, like the like electronic cleaners, right? The hypersonic, whatever. Not hypersonic, but the cleaners that you just dump things in that has a solution of alcohol and whatever. Just like it. Whoop. All right. It came out. Ah, you see the spring, this fell out like immediately. This thing just came out. Just like plopped out. Now, I don't know how it was positioned. Great. How is that positioned? What the hell? It's dirty anyways. It needs to be cleaned. But it was like this torso spring just popped out. Okay. Trying to double check where that even went because as I was opening it, it was like already on its way out. I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess it goes right here in this little divot here. Has kind of like the right width to it. I couldn't see where it was meant to go, but that's I think another problem for another day. Need to make sure to keep that spring there. Okay, so now it's been opened up. So this is the head I was actually trying to talk about. This is the reader. So it's already a little dirty, but this thing is the one that moves along this. It has like a rail it runs on, and this is the thing that actually will move around to then examine the mini disc. And I need to just make sure that at least the head is clean. I think this all needs just like a general clean. I mean, you can tell that the works here are a little gummed up. I mean, that looks pretty nasty there. And again, it's like at one point this is lubrication, I'm fairly certain. This like lubricant was doing its job, of making sure that the parts that it would be rubbing up against would make sure to like not hurt the metal as it's rubbing up and down, rubbing together. But it's been so gummed up due to the dirt and sand that it might be doing the opposite. It might not be helping at all, keeping this well lubricated. Yeah, and the side here, it's like cake right here. It just needs a clean. Yeah, the lubrication is acting as a sort of like a surface in which this sand and dust and crumbs. I have no idea what any of this is, but this is what you get from eBay when it's for parts or for sale. It's this type of stuff. Anyways, what is next? What is the? Oh my goodness, I wasn't even showing it. My bad. Um, this part, this is the lubrication I was talking about. Just all that gunk that's being caught up by the lubricant here, all the sand, and it looks like sand to me. I don't know what it is exactly, but it looks like sand to me. And this is the lubrication that it's like when you look at it here, it's like maybe not doing its job anymore because it's being gunked up by all the dirt. Okay, so we were there. I've successfully cleared that stage. So what is next? Okay, this is the next step. Is you for the main board to get rid of it, you need to remove 2 solders of the flex board here. So this is the soldering part that we'll need to do. So that's step 1. Step 2 is it looks like the other ribbon cable on the other side. Step 3 is that flex board. that we've already taken out to remove that. 4 is the screws. There are 4 screws that hold the main board together. 5 is the battery terminal that which is completely corroded that we'll need to fix. 6 is the other battery terminal. 7 is okay, so this is very special. It's like this flex board here, the optical pickup, will be on the underside of the main board. So it's hidden behind it, meaning that once you unscrew all the screws here off the main board, the instinct is to want to remove the board right off because it's like, hey, it's like it's come loose, it's done. But the problem, and also because you think like you've removed this um, cable here, and you've removed this cable and this cable, that you're done, right? This main board after all the screws are removed and all those cables that you can see are removed, that means that the board is free to go. But that's incorrect. There's one final board, ribbon cable rather, right underneath it, right in the middle, which is like being blocked in your vision, that if you just like pull it up, you will rip that cable, and then that goes directly to the optical drive, which actually drives the actual reading of the mini disc. So that's the one everyone should be very careful with when they're trying to do repairs. It's like there's always a hidden one, and that's why these service manuals are very important. Is you gotta like make sure to read them so you understand what's going on before trying to do these sort of operations. Okay, so first things first, we're gonna desolder this. This is pretty straightforward. I'm gonna put my fume extractor is on in order to keep our lungs nice and healthy. Going to be getting my soldering iron back on. Soaking a sponge here in order to, when the soldering iron's done, to cool it off for a moment, clean off any residual solder. We'll be using this iron here, and this is like plenty big to just go in here and take out both. And then while that's happening, while that's being heated up, I'm gonna slip this um, tweezer and just like help remove it. See, it will just sneak in right there. So we're gonna go up to, let's see, this is hard to read, I'm sorry. We're going to like 2 something or other. 290, that should be plenty hot for what we're about to do. All right, and just do this. Come on. Am I like not pressing into it? What's going on? Usually when that happens, when you're just like dealing with solder that's like immovable, it helps to add a little bit of fresh solder to make it do something, right? So we're about to add some fresh solder there. We're going to try and apply it carefully. We don't want to damage any of the components nearby. Come on. Oop, sorry. I'm like trying to do it for the camera, but I really need to do it for my hand. There you go. There you go. All right. So that's like fresh solder added there. Here we go. You only want to pull once. There you go. That's how you get rid of that one. And that one's very easy to add back on. It's you just do it one at a time. It involves like great big blobs of solder too. It's very weird that Sony decided to go like that. But yeah, that's you can't do that without a soldering iron because if you end up trying to do that with like a hot air gun, for example, usually what I found is you end up blowing your components out. So like you see Like it's much easier to do with like a big soldering iron like that, the big tip. You get both at the same time, pull it out. This, I was really afraid that component could just get blown out, or what else? Yeah, this component I'd be worried about if you're just blowing hot air here. Not only to mention, not that, I mean, not to mention also that, actually, yeah, you have some plastics nearby. So this plastic portion here, this is meant for you to plug in the mini disc to a like a wall adapter, so this can be playing not on battery power. And if you're blowing hot air near it, I'd be afraid of like this kind of melting if you're not careful. Not only that, but this could melt too. This is all like just plastic. This could totally melt if you're not careful enough. Trust me, I've was blowing hot air near another mini disc, like near this area for another one. It doesn't look like this, but it was like, say for example, it was like this cap or something, and I'm blowing hot air. All of a sudden, this was melting, this plastic housing for the battery, and then what do you have there? It's like, do you 3D print another plastic housing? I don't know, but it causes a lot more pain. It's just much easier. Just get a soldering iron with a big tip that can expand both, and then just heat them both up and pull that away. Okay, what is next? Okay, don't need the air anymore. We're looking at the, all right, number 2 is the, okay, so we're looking at the flex ribbon, flex cables here. So the first one was the one that we already pulled out. Is this one? That one's out. Number 2 is this one. So again, we're gonna just, with our fingers, or maybe like kind of like this, and just carefully go ahead and pull out. I wouldn't be surprised if this one has like a weird like resin or something that is keeping this cable in. There you go. Okay, so that's loose. All right, what is next here? So we did number 2. We've done that flexible. So 1, 2, 3. Now it's the screws, and it's the last flexible cable that's underneath. Okay. I'm just trying to look for something else to like play. So I'll keep this song on loop. Is this possible? Yeah, this is a song a friend of mine did. Okay, screws time. Yeah, let's remove the screws. All right, so there are 4. Usually there are 4 on the motherboard. So that's neat. That's fun that we tested it, put enough power, and it worked. That really, the problem is just like the terminal itself is like really corroded, and that's why it won't turn on. That is a lovely problem to have, because usually the fix is really simple. It's like you're just trying to make sure that the connection is done, that there's a more solid connection, and that's it. That's all you need. Because what you don't want is you put in the battery and it runs, and then you hear just it just doesn't work, and then now you're chasing another problem altogether. It's like, well, you can power on, but something more intrinsically like complicated about the whole mini disc is like not working, and you're like, okay, time to dig in, time to do voltage injection of some sort, trying to get it like going, and that's just so annoying. It's like having to chase that, and it's like, oh, how well do you know how mini disc is supposed to work? It gets tough. Okay, so the next thing I remember in the instructions is like you want to be careful about moving these up. So these are the battery terminals. They come apart from this plastic housing. So here's like I see a little Okay, I know this is gonna be a little hard because I think this crusty, let's call it calcification, is gonna keep this part of the board in. Like I'm gonna try and pop it up, but you can see that it goes in to this housing, and when it gets caked in like this, it makes it really difficult to try and pop it out because it wants to like adhere to the plastic. It's like it's stuck in there. All right. So if that's the case, oh man, I have sand on me now. Great. If that's the case, then what we're gonna do is I have a jar here of, well, you all can't see it. Maybe put it in the camera. This is distilled white vinegar. I have this on a jar. I have a little syringe. Actually, forget the syringe. I'm going to use Q-tips. Let's see if I can get this on camera because this is always a fun effect. Because you see chemistry in action. You see that bubbling? That's it being neutralized by the distilled white vinegar. So if I touch that, yeah. So whenever your batteries leak and they're all over your terminal, you can just use distilled white vinegar you can get at your grocery store, really. They sell them there. And just dab it on. I have this is a Q-tip. I just dipped it into a jar full of distilled white vinegar. And I'm going to try and like flush this area. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to neutralize this, because once you neutralize it, it starts to break apart in my experience. Like this sort of calcification gets rendered into like little bits that then you can just start removing. All right, let's see if I can tilt it. And this is now moreover the reason to have to like clean it thoroughly. Gosh, it's not even in focus, and you can tell that it's like bubbling, right? Look at that. Lovely. And the hope is that it'll get into the grooves here enough to turn basically this the acid into crumbly bits. That's my official term for them. And get weak enough where it's sort of like disjoins. It separates from this plastic container. I think really that's all it needs. It's just like that amount. I'm gonna close my lid of distilled white vinegar. There. I'm gonna now use this ridiculous dentist tool, this prodder here, and try and see if I can move around, kind of like negotiate with this terminal. Trying to like generate some space so the white vinegar could like try and go in further. Like this. You know how it's settled in a pool up there, but hoping by like providing some leverage like this, like starts going in like that. How is it looking? Is it still caked on there? Yeah. I mean, that's really bad. I'm trying to figure out how I'm actually going to save this, because you can tell, all right, we're cleaning it off. You see, this is what it ends up becoming, right? This sort of like cakey, kind of rather weak mixture here, this powder sort of thing. But my hope is, what am I trying to say? Like you see this discoloration here? I'm afraid that that might spell the end of this working properly, because it's like what you want is this kind of nice golden color, because you want the gold to, whatever material it's using to conduct the electricity, you want that to cover this sort of metal. But if it's just like the exposed metal, I don't know if this actually conducts well. So We'll see. Like it might be a situation where I might have to use like a drill bit of some sort and like make an incision here, make like a spot, add a whole bunch of solder here. It would be my guess. I don't know. I've never done this one. But put like a whole bunch of solder here, put a piece of thin metal material, like a very conductive piece of metal there, and then run it along here. And so it reaches kind of this side, and then use I think it's like PCB matte something or another. It's basically like you dip a part of the solution here and use a UV light to harden it so it stays in place. So I think I would like maybe try and do that. I don't know. Maybe, that may or may not work because this will be rubbed up a lot and it might end up not working. Like given enough battery, you put the battery in long enough, it might just disintegrate that piece of metal. Who knows? But the other thing would be to find a replacement of this, desolder it from here and place it in here instead, brand new, and then you can get this working again. I'll try and see if I have that first before I try and do the other thing, because the other thing is like a lot more work, and who knows for like what the outcome would be, if it will even be useful or not. So let's see. I'm trying to like pull it up towards away. Yeah, so this is like the fudgy stuff that any tech YouTuber who does repair videos, like they won't show this like part, the thinking process or the agonizing, like you're trying to like maneuver this. Like I'm trying to like pull up, like leverage it, but at the same time I don't want to go so hard that I end up breaking something because it's all plastic. Like this is like plastic that's like 20 years old or something. Who knows like what it's been through and what I'm doing to it now that I'm adding white distilled vinegar after like 20 years of use. All right, I think I feel a little movement. Yep, feel a little movement there. Yeah, it's moving around at least. Right? Is it going up? I think it's going up. Yep, there it is. All right, cool. That worked. That experiment worked. Okay, now you're right. This is the thing. Like you've removed you removed this thing, you remove this thing, you've desoldered this, you've removed all four of the screws, and you're gonna want to just lift it up. But you want to hold off, do not do that. Instead, carefully thumb it over because there's this hidden ribbon cable underneath, right? Like it was sitting on top. There it is. And if you're careful with it, you can reveal it and see how it's attached to the board that you're removing now, right over there. And so now I'm going to go off camera to just carefully look at it. Right. Okay. So I flipped the board completely over. So now it's like turtle on its back. And this is the other side. And this is the one that you have to be careful, right? So if you follow this ribbon cable, it connects to the optical drive that runs the header and stuff like this. So this all needs to be cleaned out anyways, because I've already shown plenty of times how dirty it is. You can just use your fingernails here, pop that open. Now, there it is. So this whole optical drive area is like on its own. I'm looking at it, so this is the head in which the optical drive runs along. It looks dry as a bone. It doesn't look lubricated at all. Right? Does that look lubricated? Does that look like it has any sort of lubrication on there? I don't think so. Oh wait, no, no, no. It does. It does. It does. Like such a small amount, but it's like gummy, right? It's very how do I put it? It's turned into a rubber. It's not really like a something that slides around, right? So that needs to be relubricated. I have one of those. And the other important thing is that there's a laser that needs to be cleaned as well. So this laser here is the actual thing that reads the laser, the disc itself, and that needs to be completely spotless. And it looks pretty good, but the area around it doesn't look good at all. So I will go ahead and use a Q-tip with some rubbing alcohol and try and pick up these like little specks. Gosh, I don't know what that is, and get it out of there. Um, that and relube. You see that? It's like that needs to be relubed. Put it on there and make that so it starts running smoothly. But this is it. This is it, and it's completely. Whoa! I don't know what that is. Ooh, rough. All right. Is it meant to be there? I don't know. All right. What is this? Looks fine. I mean, maybe not. We'll see. Maybe another thing that needs to be lubricated. No, no, it's plastic. It doesn't. It's plastic on plastic. It's when you're talking about metal on metal. I think I'm like more focused on lubricating that when it's metal on metal, like this. Yeah. Okay, so that's enough of the optical case, which will be something else I deal with later. Right now, the focus is on trying to get this going. Right, look how much it's, so this is the underside that was like in the battery container that we were trying to remove out. I think I still have some white vinegar. Right, you can see the Q-tip now start to discolor because it's picking up the hunks. But yeah, it's rubbing off the metal here. And this is a danger when you have electronics with the acid. Here it's like based on how long the acid is on the terminals will help let you know that do you have enough, will it have eaten through. So as soon as you spot something like this, immediately just take the battery out, distilled white vinegar, clean it up. And if you do it quickly enough before it's actually eaten through, I think you should be okay. But I'm not sure how to measure that timing. Like, is it, if it happened days ago, weeks ago, hours ago, I have no idea at which point you will have saved your electronic if you find that out, but the sooner, obviously, the better. So this is really caked on there. Normal Q-tip with distilled white vinegar. Right, just cleaning that off. Chemistry helping you out in the real world. Alright, maybe I'll dip a little bit more distilled white vinegar. This whole thing needs to be cleaned out. I really wish I had I really wish I had the like a bath of some sort. You can put your electronics and clean them. I forget what the hell the name of that thing is, but I honestly don't have the space for it, even if I did have it. I wouldn't know where to put it. There you go. Now, is this bad if it's on the board? As long as what I'm planning on doing is I'm gonna clean the board up with isopropyl alcohol, like in all the spaces I'm like interacting with anyways. So even if it gets on the board, I'll make sure to clean it prior to trying to power it on again. Here we go. The question will be, if I put a probe right dead center, are there any dead spots where it won't work? We have a problem here. Yeah. I can feel the Q-tip like kind of disintegrating with this amount of like water solution on it. Ugh. I usually don't go for this long streaming just because it hurts my neck when I'm at my bench like this. Unfortunately, the room I'm in is at an angle, and I'm constantly, when I'm working on electronic stuff here, I'm bent over, and it absolutely kills my neck. Never enough time. I feel as if, wow, this has gotten a lot of it off. Right, it's become just like this tint of blue on the Q-tip. And again, you could tell there was so much on there that as soon as you put in a drop of distilled white vinegar, it just like started dissolving. Okay, so this is annoying because it's in those crevices, right? It's like, how do you even get to those? Like, is there an instrument to help figure out how to like get into those crevices there, you see? Because you want to get rid of as much of that as possible because you don't want to have to deal with like this stuff. It doesn't belong there. It's only going to impede the electronic from working. So what I usually do is I get these Q-tips. And you get in there like this. I've been doing this sort of hobby stuff for like, I guess the better part of a year, just on my own, on and off. No, this isn't my profession or anything at all. I'm a complete amateur in the purest sense of that term. Just I have a love to learn how things work and wanting to learn more. Here we go. Right, the only problem is like it disintegrates pretty quickly. Like there isn't much to the tip. There's enough like fabric material on the tip there. Oh man, I think it's time for that syringe part. I'm gonna like inject some of this distilled white vinegar directly in there. Here you go. Let that fizz go. Make that chemistry work in our favor. And I have to clean the bench, everything that this is on, because oh my god, there's so much gunk that just fell out as soon as I was like starting to repair this. Yeah, I let the chemistry do all the hard work here. I'll wait until it stops fizzing, because that's when you know it's like mostly done. Gosh, so it must have had that battery leak for a while before it was removed. And that's why it was sold as like for parts. Again, my hope is I'm gonna clean this terminal as best as I can in the hopes that I can try and still reuse it because yeah, I just want to see how much of these parts I can keep as they are. But if there is an issue where the terminal just cannot be like saved at all, I have some spare mini discs that are completely broken that I'll see about if they fit the sort of same style of connector. Like, do they have the same shape and everything? And if they do, I'll just remove it from one, put it in the other, do a transplant. Oh man, see, gold is coming off. Not great. Oh, it's still so blue. See, look how blue that is. That shouldn't be that blue. That shouldn't be blue at all, in fact. I have half a mind of just like trying to unsolder it from here because it's like freestanding at the moment. But I just know it's gonna be such a pain. No, maybe I should just go ahead and do that. Because what I want to do is I want to put this whole thing in sort of a jar. Yeah, maybe I'll go ahead and do that. But check how much stuff is now. That's the gold that's gold from the conductive material that would have been used in order to actually make the mini disc run. I think I'm gonna desolder this. And I'm going to trust myself that I can put it back on later. Hopefully, future self, you can do this. And if not, I'm really sorry. Sincerely, me to you. Alright. This is flux. It's supposed to aid in the melting of solder. I'm just going to sprinkle it here. Alrighty, so I'm going to apply some, again, using the same soldering iron as before. I'm going to apply heat and I'm going to try and remove it, being careful of these two capacitors there. Oh, actually, I need to do one more thing. I have a board holder. Very cool. This is now holding the board a little bit more. It's going to stabilize it a bit. I am right-handed. So there we go. Time to remove this. Oh, fume extractor on. Hopefully no one else can hear that, but they probably can. It's so loud. Come on. Trying to pull it up and it's not budging. Okay. I did tilt it. So I was going in the right direction. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna take a look at the other side. This is the other side. It's being held in right over there. What is that extra thing right there? Alright, just gunk, whatever. Okay. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything holding it down or something. It feels like it doesn't want to come off. I'll end up doing the same trick as I did before. I'm gonna add some solder, some fresh solder on there. Oh, great. Big ball of solder just on the board. Perfect. Get out of here. Yeah, get out of here. Now, when that happens, it's because the soldering iron is not clean. It's not clean, it can't get the solder adhered to it. So I'm using gold foil, this stuff. And scraping the soldering iron on it. So the hope is that it will be cleaner. So maybe I can get it to accept some solder. There you go, a little better. There's some, but it's not ideal. There you go. Fresh solder to the rescue. There it is. Okay. Here's the part on its own. At the very least, streaming it and recording it, I get to see where I make all the mistakes, and maybe I can ponder on them. Do it better next time, you know? Because I'm still, again, disclaimer, complete amateur at this. I don't exactly know what I'm doing. I have a general idea as to what I'm doing. I have enough information to be dangerous when doing this. I guess the idea here will be I thoroughly clean. I put this connector in a solution of distilled white vinegar, clean it up, and then reseat it later. With like this whole board inside the case again, put that in, and then just try and solder it back using a thinner soldering iron. Like this one is would be like way, way, way too big. I would put something closer to like a. I would try and put it back using like this tip maybe. Notice how it's like much smaller, but get that started. Now the board needs to be super cleaned anyways, so that flux that's completely burned because the flux I use is super cheap and dumb. I'll clean that later. It's gonna be super sticky. Here, let me see if I can demonstrate this. It's like gooey. Look at that, it's just terrible. I need better flux, but I'm using what I have until I run out. All right, here we go. So this thing, it's so blue there. Um, I'm trying to think if I have a container that I can just pour the distilled white vinegar and not really care about the container itself being dirtied. Trying to think. Trying to look around my workbench. I know we probably have plastic things, so I'll be right back. I'll look for it in just a moment. Okay, found one. I'm using this lid for this candle. I'm just gonna put it here. And just kind of dump it in this container. I don't care about this candle. And the surface tension, I guess, of the solution of the distilled white vinegar is keeping itself in there, so I don't need to put it in a very precise like jar or something, you know, like to define the boundaries. It just wants to stick to itself. Cool. I think I'll have to just my neck is killing me. I think for the time being, I'll have to let this be. And if I'll probably whatever updates I'll have, I won't be doing a live stream of it. Instead, I'll be hoping to record bits and pieces of it as I go. Maybe trying to discuss what's happening. And this is cool. You get to see it dissolve in real time. Um, yeah, just to keep up and see whether. So the discussion will be like whether this thing that I'm doing right now, whether that works. Like, will it make contact? I'll use a multimeter probes to like touch either end and see if I touch that direct center right there to that other end, the other end that's up there. If that makes contact, if it does, then that means I can put this directly back in as soon as I'm done cleaning, like cleaning the rest of the board. I think no matter what, I'll be cleaning the rest of the board. Isopropyl alcohol on a brush, just clean the whole board, get all that gunk out, get the gunk out of the motors, get the gunk out of the main board, and clean all the lubricant from the motor itself. It's like put in isopropyl alcohol and get rid of that. Add a new lubricant, clean the lens reader, and and just do a top to bottom cleaning, and then hope that it works again, just like I was before. All it needed was really this terminal to work, and the thing was actually trying to run. It said no disk, so that's my hope is that this is all really that's required. Wow, if you see that, like it's doing a great job of like the chemistry is doing a fantastic job of just like getting rid of that stuff. All I needed to do was just soak in that white vinegar. That's it. I just need to soak in there. And I could not have done that in any other way other than doing it like this, just removing it first. So I think this is a good choice. Yeah, the danger also of like trying to scrub it manually and not doing it through like chemistry is that you might scratch too hard and you start to remove the gold flakes yourself, which is the thing you want to keep. You want to keep this metal as pristine as possible here. But yeah, this needs a complete cleanup. But I'm hoping I can get this working because this is the literally the MiniDisc player model that I used to own and I would use to play tons of stuff growing up. Okay. I think I'm gonna call it for right now. I'm just like, talked about the rebranding of sorts. I'll probably have my logo somewhere else in the future. It's talked about dismantling this entire mini disc, talking about how to get rid of the terminal, the battery acid that's built up on terminal. Look, you see this? Like, if you're able to remove the terminal that's actually been dipped in this acid in some way, you just leave it in white distilled vinegar and you can see it like in real time. It's just taking it away. Look at that. You can literally see the flakes just come right off. And that was caked blue. That's your chemistry lesson of the day. Just use distilled white vinegar against battery acids, terminal spillover like this, and you can save it. Alrighty. Thank you everyone who's come by. I'm always open to questions. I want to be the educational tech channel of sorts. Love to answer questions that people might have about software programming. I do myself. I'm a software programmer by day, and in the evening and stuff, I do a lot more of my art, which is in programming as well. And I also love to repair these sorts of things as well, and hoping that I can teach more of how this works to other people. But I'm going to be calling it a night. Thank you so much again, everyone, for joining. I wish everyone to have a good day, and please take care of yourselves, okay? And until next time. All right, later, y'all.